Eyes up here in 2, 1. I need perfect silence in 0. At this point, I need silence. Your paper, I want you to turn horizontally, so it's like long ways. And I want you to put these 4 columns on your paper. So first you have the first column for quote, says, does, analysis. Okay, so you're creating your 4 columns on your paper. Sure, yep. Quote, says, does, and analysis. While you are writing these 4 columns, I want to just do some mental review. What did we talk about on Tuesday with says versus does? What is the difference between what an author says and what an author does? Joshua, with loud voice.
Says is summarizing, and does is like detail, like being enthusiastic. Kind of. I don't know. No, detail.
You were right on says. Says is summarizing.
Can I redo the does part?
Yes.
All right. So for does, you would be detailistic. You'd be also trying to create a mood.
Okay, so that's an example. So authors creating moods is an example of does. Can someone, like Esteban, will you add on define what does is?
You said says was the way what did you say for saying?
Says is, so you can kind of draw this on your paper. Says is a summary. Just literally what the text says.
Is how he does it. Like what does he use? Does he use diction? Does he use similes or metaphors? Stuff in that direction.
Very good. How the author writes. So it might be simile, diction, Joshua mentioned mood, tone, etc. So I want you to go ahead and add these unless you feel like you really know says versus does. You can add these notes. So we are going to do one example together of says versus does with the Odyssey. Okay, we're going to go through sort of how to differentiate between says versus does. Then you are going to do this on your own on a Google form. So after we do this, I just want to sort of prep you. After we do this as a class, you are then going to do it on your own. Angel, head up, please. Everyone right now open to book 12. Line 253. So we're on page 278. Let's open quickly to page 278. I need all Odyssey books out. To page 278. Ever, you have a demerit on professional fast and multiple times.
Can I let him unlock me?
No. Raise your hand if you need an Odyssey book. All right, everyone, Grace Jose, open to 278. Okay, we're going to read towards the bottom of 278. Right now, I just want you to be thinking about what the author actually says, like what's going on in this passage. Justin, do you have your Odyssey book? Kevin, Odyssey book. Okay, then Ashley, can you put it in the middle, open to page 278. Adriana, open the book. 278. Yeah, you need to have your book. Just one.
The marriage.
All right. Ever give your book. Okay, you need to open it, 278. Open your book. Okay, bottom of 278. Now, wailing in fear, we rode on up those straits, Scylla to starboard. Starboard means like one side of the ship. Dreaded Charybdis off to port. Port is the other side of the ship. So Scylla on one side, Charybdis on the other. Her horrible whirlpool gulping the sea surge down. But when she spewed it up like a cauldron over a raging fire, all her churning depths would seep, Edward, head up, and heave, exploding spray showering down to splatter the peaks of both crags at once. But when she swallowed the sea surge down, her gaping maw, that's like her huge mouth, the whole abyss, remember abyss, like endless hole, huge, dark space, lay bare, and the rocks around her roared, terrible, deafening. Bedrock showed down deep, boiling black with sand, and ashen terror gripped the men. Ashen is like if you're almost white because you're so scared. Grace, first let's do says, what is happening here?
The Charybdis
Charybdis?
is springing on water to create like a whirlpool.
Very good. And who is, like, what are the characters? Someone give me a little bit more context.
Don't hate yourself.
Troy?
We talked about the monsters or
Like, who's going through Charybdis?
Go watch.
Very good. So Odysseus, and everyone write this down. This is your notes on your paper. Odysseus and his men are sailing through the violent whirlpool Charybdis. So I sort of combined what Troy and Grace said about what this passage says. Remember, says is just the summary. Odysseus and his men are sailing through the violent whirlpool Charybdis. We're going to read this one more time together.
I was confused. I thought Charybdis was someone that was on his ship, like with him. Like
Charybdis is that whirlpool, the huge whirlpool. Yeah, Elijah.
I thought Charybdis was a person.
Yeah.
I thought he
So-
was like a monster. See?
Yeah.
So
Can
this is perfect segue into how Homer is writing, right? So Homer refers to Charybdis almost like a monster, right? And she sort of is. She has a name, Charybdis, etc.
Quote
But
says, does analysis.
but in our view, she's kind of like a giant whirlpool that sucks everything in that's passing by. You can think of it like a monster, but she's really kind of a natural event. But Homer kind of personifies this huge whirlpool by talking about her like she's a monster.
Like how they name Hurricane
Oh, yeah, just like how they name Hurricane Katrina, etc., and they might refer to Hurricane Katrina as her. Wait, Elijah, you had another question.
For the quote, can we just do that?
Yeah,
Katrina.
yes,
So it's
Katrina hit her house. Where's she at?
yes. Like with the story, absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to read it again. While I am reading this, while you are following along, I want you to think about what Homer is actually doing. What type of language is he using? Is he using any figurative language? What do you think the mood and the tone is? Actually, sit all the way up. What do you think? What do you think the mood and the tone is, etc.? Okay, listen really carefully. I'm also might emphasize certain things to kind of give you a hint. Now, wailing in fear, we rode on up those straits. All eyes should be down, bottom of 278. Now, wailing in fear, we rode on up those straits, Scylla to starboard, dreaded Charybdis off to port. Her horrible whirlpool gulping the sea surge down. Can you just give him your paper if he needs to borrow it? Down, but when she spewed it up like a cauldron over a raging fire, all her churning depths would seethe and heave, exploding spray showering down to splatter the peaks of both crags at once. But when she swallowed the sea surge down, her gaping maw, like huge mouth, the whole abyss lay bare, and the rocks around her roared, terrible, deafening. Bedrock showed down deep, boiling black with sand, and ashen terror gripped the men. What is Homer doing with his writing in this passage? Nicole,
Is it like personification?
how so?
Well, is personification like when you put when you show human actions or
Yes, give something human characteristics.
Yeah, characteristics, there you go.
And why do you think he's using personification? To do what? To what? Very good. So to create an image in the reader's mind. We picture Charybdis almost like an evil monster, like a person that's out to get Odysseus, because Homer constantly refers to Charybdis like a person. What else does Homer do in this passage? Jacqueline?
I think he uses a little bit of hyperbole because he makes a little bit of an exaggeration and it really is.
What does he exaggerate?
Like how she's like that and the.
Wait, so Jacqueline just said the and the. Is that hyperbole or is that maybe like onomatopoeia or
Onomatopoeia.
detailed?
Yeah, detailed and hyperbole because he just exaggerates on what she's doing and what I mean I guess on how she like sticks and
Okay,
like those
so
left or whatever.
when we know like how something sounds with the words like splatter, deafening, spray, gulp, those types of things, those are very sensory words, right? We can almost like feel and imagine what is happening. Uses sensory language. How does that make the reader feel, do you think, Jacqueline?
Like, well, when I read this last night, I was like, ew, why is he telling us how she like throws it back up and like how she drinks it? It's like
So yeah, how does the reader feel when you're reading
like
this?
a little bit disgusted
Sure.
or like disturbed probably.
Yeah, that's fine. To make the reader feel disgusted or disturbed. You could also say like to feel fear for the character, like to,
What's
Yeah.
what's that? I don't know if it's disturbed or not, but you know how when they tell you something you don't really want to know, but like it's like
like,
you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I need to think about how to.
What's a word to describe that?
Can't you say
I know.
uncomfortable?
What?
Can't you say uncomfortable?
Yeah, uncomfortable, absolutely. What's another thing?
So turn it off.
Yeah, it's fine.